Today I will be showing you how to repair your Razer Kaira Pro. I have the PS5 version. This is my model number, but there's a bunch of different variations. If yours looks like this one, then it will probably work. I redesigned this bracket in Fusion 360. The original is really thin right here, and that's where it tends to break. Mine broke on both sides, so I made this thicker. My design is kind of geometric looking. It's not as beautiful as the original, but everything works 100%. Everything works. It has a slot in the middle so we can have an easier installation. One of the important things to know is that in order to install these new brackets, you have to destroy your old ones, and at that point I will not be liable for anything that happens afterwards. The files will be free in the link in the description, so you can print them out yourself, and I'll also include a link to donate if you would like to. But yeah, it works perfectly fine. I've been using them for about a month now. Everything works great. I purposely kept one of the brackets intact while designing this new bracket. That way I could make an in-depth video on how to replace the bracket. The side that I'm showing in the video is actually the harder side. The other side is easier, but you should be able to get it done. If you're pretty handy, you should be able to get it done. It's not extremely hard, to be honest. I mean, I made it as easy as possible to show you how to install it. But yeah, hopefully you can get your headphones fixed, and now I'm going to show the installation part. Now I'll be showing you how to replace your bracket that is broken on here if you decide to go this route. So some of the tools you'll need to do this job is a little cutter to cut the bracket apart, some tweezers, and a screwdriver that has a PH1 bit, a T6 Torx bit, and a 2.0 hex bit. So this is how we're printing the part. We're printing it upright, and I'm doing tree supports. I'm doing 4 walls and 30% infill. The reason I printed in this orientation is because I don't want any supports in these holes, which makes it easier to create the thread with the screws. And it takes about 2 hours on 0.16 millimeter optimal settings on the P1S. The first thing you're going to do is remove the ear cups. So you just have to, this just slides over, just pull it out. Now you're going to take your 2.0 hex bit and you're going to remove these 4 screws here. This side is harder than the right side. The right side houses the battery, and this one has the motherboard. So this is a little bit trickier than the other side. This ear cup is attached with a wire, so you got to be careful not to do anything crazy. It shouldn't break that easy, but you want to be careful with it. So it's worth mentioning that this part holds these arms, and it prevents this joint from going out. So you can't remove the arms without this out first. You have to remove this screw, and then this screw is hidden with a black piece of adhesive like this. So you remove this black piece of adhesive that's down here on this board, and then you unplug this ribbon cable and you remove this screw. So now that we remove those 3 screws, we have to remove these 2 screws here as well. So 1 screw here, 1 screw here. Then you just gotta remove this board. Just be careful with it. And you can remove this board. So now you want to remove the white cable from that slot so it can be free. And you want to remove this side as well. You just have to extend the bracket, and then T6 right here, there's 2 T6. Now we can remove these 2 T6 on this part here, on this black part here. So you want to pry outwards. So you just want to pry out. So you just want to pry out to where this bends out a little bit. And now you can just slide this off here. To remove this screw here. And I've already removed this one over here. This one is easy to access. This one is not as easy. You could just slide this back in place just so it can hold in place while we're doing this. Now we want to remove this arm from the housing. So you have to remember that this has to be off so that this arm can actually come out. Now I just want to pry out and pry the other side out. You can see it broke while I'm doing this. And here you see that the wire, it goes in through this hole up here and it runs up into the headset. Mine literally broke, so I can just start removing the wire from it and throw that in the trash. And you can just start removing the wire from this part of the bracket. So you can see now the two wires are free. I'm gonna slide this down. Now that there's some slack, you slide this out. So now we want to begin breaking this bracket. So be careful. These wires run down the middle, so you want to cut on the outside. And also, as you can see that this part here is a piece that goes in and screws onto here, so you don't want to break this piece. So I'd say just start right here in the outside. Start breaking this stuff apart. Just be careful with the wires. You can see now I was able to get this off now. You can see this is the piece that screws onto here. Now we can just start cutting. Okay, now the wires are free. The old bracket is off. I forgot to record this part, but basically all we're gonna do is take the excess white wire that's inside the ear cup and we're gonna push it outside through the hole. That way we have more length of wire outside the headset so we can install a bracket easier. So the best way is to break that old bracket off, because if not, you would have to solder 40 joints. There's 10 on each side, so there's 40 in total. So 10, 10, 10, 10. Before we begin assembly, we're gonna remove this screw here, and we're gonna remove this little bracket here. And then you'll be able to pull this white piece out. We're gonna take the silver screws and screw the white piece into the black piece. Then we're gonna remove the screws. All we're doing is just creating threads in the 3D printed part before we install it. That way when we install a part, it already have the threads in it. So now we're gonna slide this white piece onto here, and then we're gonna put this piece on over this stud, and then slide it over, and then just screw it down. Okay, we're gonna take this piece here, we're gonna line it up and put the wires into the hole, and then we're gonna shove the wire into here, and then bring it in here. In this section here, this will hold the wire. It's a snug fit in there. So you want to slide it in that slot right there, and then slide the other side. And now you just want to push them in. So just push them in like that. Now we're ready to start gluing. I'll be using E6000 and a toothpick. And we're gonna put glue in these grooves and also this groove here too. That way that the wire can stay in place. Now that we have the glue in the groove, I'm gonna start pushing the wire into the hole, into the grooves. And then I'll just wipe the excess off. I'm just gonna let it hold there in place and let it dry a little bit. I just finished gluing the other wire down. Now we're ready to start reassembling it. So we're gonna try to put this onto here, and as you can see, there's a lot of excess wire. So as we're putting the part in, we're gonna be pulling this wire back into the housing. So you can just kind of gently pull the board out and start feeding the wire in. Just feeding the wire in and then pulling from this side. And then the other side as well. And I'm gonna try I've pulled a little bit more slack on this side than on this side. Now I'm gonna try to put this part onto the swivel. So you just line it up, make sure the wire's in there, and then you just snap it in. Just snap it in like this. Now we're gonna work on the other side. As you can see, the wire still has some slack outside the body. I'm gonna start pushing in the wire and then trying to line this up. And there we go. As you can see, now the part is on and the wires are nice and tucked on the outside. Now we just have to work on this intersection. This is how I'm routing mine. So right here, it goes into this groove here, straight from this swivel, and then it goes around, and then it comes up top to here, and then this side, same idea. Now we can start trying to push this back onto there. So now that we routed the wire, you can go ahead and set the board down, and you want to make sure that this switch slots into this little switch right here, slots into here. And then you want to check these dowels here, here, and here. If the board feels in place, then you're ready to put the screws in. So you want to put the 3 screws, 1, 2, 3. So first you want to put this scroll wheel back on, and this goes in this hole right here. So next we're going to put the board in. This is a little bit tricky. You want to kind of slide it down and in. But if it feels like you're using a lot of force, then don't try to force it. So it seems like you want to line it up with these dowels here, and then if this part doesn't want to go down, kind of turn the scroll wheel until it bottoms out, and you know you'll have it right once. You'll know you'll have it right once these dowels look good. That one right there, this one right here, and this one right here. So you want to put the 3 screws back in, 1, 2, 3. Then you want to feel if the scroll wheel is on there correctly. We're going to put the ribbon cable in place, and you can see these lines here. This is a guide for mounting the flex cable. So you want to kind of line up onto those lines and then push down. Now we can put this little black strip back on, or maybe some glue. This just keeps the cable from coming off. So in order to mount this part onto here, we want to make sure that this path is clear for these tabs, for these little tabs here to go in there in the slot. And on mine, the slot is covered by this wire, and also on this side. So we gotta route these cables so that way they're not in the way. I'm just gonna push it down in here and then move the wire out of the way. So I routed mine and go into this little slit, and now there's clearance here for the tab. On the other side, I went around, and then there's a little slit right here. You can just press it down, and now we should have clearance right here to push this on. So now we're ready to put this back on. This wire, you don't want it to get caught on anything right here, so you want to kind of push it to the side while you're putting it on. And the L faces down, as you can see. You should not have a hard time putting this on. If you're struggling, then something is getting stuck. Now we can put the 4 screws. This inside screw is a little bit harder, but you can still get it on there. Now make sure the screws are tight and it's pretty secure now. So now you make sure you tighten them all the way in, and now you can see it's pretty sturdy. So we can go ahead and slide this piece over. And then we're going to put the 2 screws in there. These are also the silver screws. If this little tab fell off, you just want to put it in here. On like that. You're going to make sure it's flush, and then it slides in. Make sure it's flush. And now we're going to put this on. So just make sure that this piece is close, lining up with this one. So right about there. Then you just snap it in place. Now we need to screw these screws in here. You want to extend it all the way, and now you put the 2 screws in here. These are the 2 black screws. So now everything works well, swivels. So the actual last step will be to put this on, and this part just slides into this gap here. So you gotta kind of, I would start it off at the top. As you can see, it just slides in there. And then just work your way around. You can put your finger in here and then kind of maneuver it into there. Okay, now it's on. Now we're finally done. So this is the right side. This side is way easier. You don't have to remove the battery or the board. You just have to unclip these wires so you can take them out. But just be sure when you're putting it back together to route the wires correctly. That way they don't get pinched off when you screw into here, into the studs. As you can see, I did the mistake of, I wasn't paying attention, and I screwed in this screw here and it damaged the wire. I should be able to fix that, but just be careful. Yeah. Hopefully your headphones turned out great. This video took me a long time to film, edit, and the part took me a long time to design. So if you're feeling generous and you would like to help me out, I'll leave my PayPal in the description, and that'll be it.